Hi everyone. It's episode 6 of Ask Us Relationship Series 2. Today we are talking all about priorities. So let's get started.
Good morning, everyone. We're just going to cut through it. So the question for today is, how can I balance caring for my sick mom, taking care of my kids, working full time, and spending enough family time with my partner? So this is one of those big questions. What's your take on this, Natasha?
Right. Before we go on I'll elaborate this a bit more exactly in our client's words. So what she says is, I'm currently juggling the responsibilities of taking care of my unwell mom, looking after my kids, and working full time. My partner frequently expresses concern that we are not spending enough family time together because I also assist my mom 3 times a week and some evenings on the weekends. I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I see my partner's perspective. I am an only child and my dad relies on me, not trusting others for help. Do you have any suggestions on how to manage this situation? Right. So this is in her own words. Do you want to take the lead, Diana?
Yeah, this is one of those things that is very hard to navigate being the only child, and it sounds like she doesn't have much support system thus far. So I think navigating the intricate balance of caring for your sick mom, tending to your children, working full time, and nurturing your relationship with your partner can be overwhelming. But I want you to know that you are not alone. It may seem that, it may seem that way sometimes, because especially when you're in the thick of it. I don't think this is about finding more time because we all have 24 hours, right? I think this is about managing your time and energy wisely. So I would first look at priorities. And who I would put on the top of that is you. I would prioritize self-care. You have to come first. When it comes to balancing everything in life, it's crucial to remember that you have the right to rest. So this means giving yourself permission to take breaks, recharge your batteries, and do the things that fill your heart, that brings you joy and relaxation. When you're juggling all these different roles in your lives, it's easy to forget about yourself. You are human too, and you deserve a break. So you have to remember that. I would encourage you to start opening a dialogue and speak about your needs and set boundaries. Embrace the magic and the power of boundaries. Let your partner and family know that you need some downtime to unwind and do the things that make you happy, whether it's taking a walk in nature, curling up with a good book, or just having a quiet moment to yourself, by yourself. Nobody's pulling you in so many directions. So honoring your right to rest is essential to your overall well-being, because filling your cup first, you'll feel more balanced, refreshed, and better equipped to handle life's demands. I always think about this airplane safety procedure, put your mask on first before helping others.
Yeah.
So you cannot take care of someone else when you're sick and burnt out. It's not selfish to look at to look after yourself, even when life is challenging. That's precisely when you need to come back to yourself and do the things that rejuvenate you so that you can be more present for others. That's my take.
Oh,
How about you, Natasha?
amazing. Amazing. I hope this resonates with the person who sent the question because I 100% agree. And I look at this just so we can put this into perspective. I would see this as, let's use metaphor, right? So let's have these jars in front of us. And now let's label all these jars. So she has kids as her responsibility. So all your responsibilities will go labeled on these jars. Kids, work, husband, parents. One jar is missing, and that's exactly what you said, Diana. Me, right? So now with all these jars in front of you, with all these responsibilities, what you're seeing is that you are having to make deposits into each jars. Where are these deposits coming from? It's coming from the jar that says me. So you need to fill up that jar in order to make these deposits. If that jar is running low and you are not tending to the me jar, but you're just giving, that's what I can hear from these questions, right? That there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of give. But in order to give, you need to fill up that jar. Now, this person could say, Natasha, really? Now I have so much on my plate, and you're asking me to make deposits into my jar? How is it even possible? Right? Because that happens. We forget about this one jar and we just give. Now imagine, we're talking about deposits. What happens if your account has run out of deposit or run out of money? You're going into overdraft. Now, what does overdraft look like here? When you're going overdrawn in your jar, that can look like sadness. It can look like resentment, probably heading towards anger. And you're in turn being angry towards these same people who you love the most, the things that you love to do. Now you're not able to give your 100%. So it's so crucially important to bear in mind to make deposits into each jars. Also, sometimes if one jar needs more attention and needs more deposit, which means some of the other jars might have to reduce. And that's where you touched base on prioritizing, right? Prioritize, which means if one has to go on top, somewhere we need to make adjustments to equally balance it out.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I totally agree with filling your jars. And I think this is where the importance of understanding what is important in the moment, because it changes over time depending on emergencies, and especially with when you're taking care of your sick mom, it's very unpredictable on what happens on a daily basis. So it resonates with me when you said, prioritize and things will change. And so learning to adapt and be flexible in those ways will definitely help navigate those challenging situations and moments of conflict. And so what happens though? We're going to this what if questions, right? So what happens if the parents or the husband still insist and not entirely happy about how things are going? What is your take on this, to navigate the conflict between pressures and demands?
Yeah, and that's so real, right? It happens. And with things like that, as you touched base on, is communicating. But before even you go into that communication, it's knowing exactly what do you want to do? What is possible for you to do? Realistically, what can you give? These are the questions you should be asking yourself first. Because if we don't ask or we don't answer these questions for ourselves, we will be expecting our partners or our parents to just understand, like, why do you not get it? Yeah. So in this case, know the deeper meaning of why are you doing this realistically, when can you do, what can you do, then communicate to them.
Mm.
Let your husband be transparent, let your husband know, let your parents know, and let your children know as well what impact is all this having on you and on them. Let them understand the process, because if you're just keeping it all to yourself and expecting, having all these expectations on yourself, thinking I must be doing this, I must be doing that, they really don't know what's going on with you. Unless you communicate. Once they know, they will be able to support you better, which means it might look like something around, say, if one day you couldn't go to your parents because you had to pay more attention to your kids or your home, you can always give them a call. Now they already know what's going on, so you could tell them, this is what's happening today, so I might not be able to come and see you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
those deposits where this needs more attention. So you're taking it out of here and giving it here. What's your take on this?
Yeah, it's really that's really beautiful. Thank you so much for that insights. I think in moments like this, it's really important to approach the situation with empathy and patience. I would start by actively listening to their perspective and seeking to understand where they're coming from. I know it's not always going to be easy, right? Because you are probably feeling so overwhelmed. But remember, everyone has their experience and beliefs that shapes their views. So gently communicate your own feelings and needs and emphasize the importance of finding a solution that respects everyone's concerns. So practice compassion and collaboration and seek common ground where, where it's possible. It's not always going to be easy because it's an intricate dance between trying to hear everyone's concerns, right? But it's really important in this situation to honor your own boundaries and values. So if the situation becomes particularly challenging where it can, because our emotions often runs high when we're overwhelmed, I think don't hesitate to seek professional help. It's really important to know that you're not helpless. There is always hope. So seek professional help. A therapist, a counselor, or a coach can offer valuable perspective and guidance to help you navigate complex family dynamics and gain clarity and understanding. So the other thing too is that I want you to please, please, please remember, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but it's a sign or a display of courage and authenticity. When you share your thoughts and your emotion openly and respectfully, you create space for deeper connection and understanding within your family member, within your relationship. So as your family witness your vulnerability, they may feel encouraged to show up the same way and be more willing to help and collaborate. This will empower you to lead your life with intention rather than feeling controlled by life challenges or circumstances. Because when we address conflict, we have to strive to honor each person's involved, including yourself. Recognize and validate the perspective of everyone's feelings, especially your partner, your parents, your kids, and also you're going to hear me keep saying this, advocating for your own needs, your limitations, and your boundaries. Because ultimately, navigating disagreements with our loved ones can be so complicated. It requires patience, understanding, and willingness to embrace vulnerability and courage. I think when we approach challenges this way, um, especially with empathy and respect, we can foster a deeper connection and strengthen our relationship in the process, right? And there is a lot of scientific research that I'd like to also touch base on. But what do you think about that, what I said, Natasha?
Oh, I love that. I absolutely 100% agree.
Yeah.
And this way, you build a support system for yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
Now you're listening, and there's um, reciprocation, there's a give and take. Usually, what can happen is, especially us, I don't know if this is true by saying that, especially us women, but because I'm a woman and you're a woman, we kind of have these expectations on ourselves, and we think that we have to do it by ourselves. And it's that belief, and it's so hardwired that we just do it and do it and do it without even thinking or pausing that I can build a support system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the strategies that the client could tap into in terms of how to build those support system that you talk about, because I think that is really, really important to know that and understand that there is hope, right? There is hope, even though it seems like it doesn't. And so creating this bird's eye view of what is possible for this client to seek support. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. And as you said, if you are not able to do it by yourself, as you mentioned, seek therapy, seek counseling, and seek a coach. I think in this situation, a coach would be a better option, only because it's all about taking actions,
Mm.
right? So you're taking actions and you are building that strategy. Now, how do you build that strategy? Communication is the key. First would be awareness, as we said, that knowing what you want, how you want it to turn out, and really knowing how much you can give. That's when you can communicate. And little things like, as we said, prioritize yourself, which means knowing what your needs are. Every time you feel that this has been too much, check in with yourself and ask, what need hasn't been met here? What did I really want at this point today? What did I need today to help me get through this day?
Yeah, I
And
love.
that's when the answer will come. You will know what needs are not being met. When you have the answer, work on meeting those needs. And it could simply be that you are getting tired and that you need 5 minutes to just sit down and unwind before you move on to the next task.
I love that. That's really, really useful. And I think to add to what you mentioned, the vulnerability part of this is the strategies and tools that I would suggest also is to not be afraid to delegate and collaborate, right? Recognize that you don't have to carry the weight of all the responsibilities alone. Delegate tasks when possible, whether it's enlisting the help of family members outside of your your tight-knit family, hiring a caregiver for your mom, so that you and your husband can go have a date night or have a family time, or involving your children in age appropriate household chores. This is the time when you can pull everyone together and be transparent about your limitation and what you need so that you can get the proper support. The other thing is, when everything is so challenging and it's hard to see the light of at the end of the tunnel, I think it's really important to celebrate small wins. Celebrating small wins during tough times requires awareness and gratitude. And I know oftentimes it's hard to find those gratitude. When you wake up in the morning, to find one. If you can't find 5 or 10, find one and keep it to your heart, that there is hope. Keep track of your daily victories, no matter how small, and acknowledge the effort it took to achieve them. Reflect on this moment and express gratitude. Celebrate in the way that feels meaningful to you, because this celebration can boost your mood and your resilience, because you can see that your effort is being acknowledged and being seen, not by any other people but yourself, because you worked so hard to get those small wins, right? I love when you say nurturing supportive relationship and cultivating the honesty and communication. I think that is way at the top there, because you cannot let everyone in your family to guess what you need, right? So I think that when you are honest about where you are and how you feel, and you can communicate that in a respectful way, you can share everything, and it relieves a lot of those pressure and stress in your body, because now when you are honest and transparent about where you are, you can also share your joys and concerns and aspiration, and actively listen, like what you said, like back and forth, listen to their needs as well. And then from there, you can build a support system or a network, right? And encourage everyone to show up more authentically rather than forced, which is not always easy to navigate, because that's where the conflict happens and the resentments, because we want to be doing something else and we don't want to be here, right? So I love that. What do you think about yeah, go ahead.
I just want to acknowledge, I love the part of celebration.
Mm.
And those being grateful, the gratitude, right? Being grateful for the little things. And those little things will bring more blessings, more gratitude in your life. So yeah, and it could be something simple as, because when you're in that mode of doing, giving, we could miss the small wins. Like it could be that your little boy could, without even you having to ask, he went and brushed his teeth or came down and, ready for breakfast. Little things, if they make their bed, or, or these are a little bit one step further. But those little things, if you start acknowledging them and telling them, thank you, or, that celebrate. Oh, wow, you woke up early, you brushed your teeth, and you're ready downstairs. Oh, let's have breakfast. Even that, the boost of confidence that your child would get, and they will feel seen by you.
Yeah.
They will be willing to do more. I love that. Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, it's really, because it's really hard to be grateful and find gratitude to the things that, the simple things, as a simple victory, when we are in the midst of difficult challenges in life. It's very hard, and we are conditioned to look for the things that are difficult, because we are designed to watch out for those things. and to experience and feel moments of joy and happiness, it's actually the hardest thing to maintain. There's a neuroscientist that actually studied this, that negativity sticks with us like Velcro, and positivity sticks with us like Teflon. It slides off and it doesn't stays. So in every one negative thought, it actually, you need 5 positive thoughts to just cancel out one negative thought. So think about that, because that's how it will help you boost your energy and to see the light at the end of the tunnel and see things as they are. It's not permanent. These challenges that you're feeling and experiencing is not permanent. Tomorrow will be different. And tomorrow you can decide how your day can look like. You have that power within you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
know we're almost at the end. Something very interesting is coming to my mind, right? Just from the question, reading the question, it seems like the husband is telling the wife that, you know, you need to pay more attention at home because you're going to your parents' house. And the question says that my father doesn't trust anyone else.
Mm.
Right? So when you are having the conversation, right? And say, for example, if your husband says, oh, you know what, your dad will never have anyone. Why do you have to keep going there? You know, every time, get a caretaker, like, you know, hire a caretaker. But your father, he's stubborn. He's not going to trust anyone. You know, it's not the client's situation, but I'm just saying it from the question, right? In that moment, acknowledge the other person, because we could get triggered and we could try and defend it and say, no, they're my parents. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So really in that moment, when you said that listen means acknowledging the other person as well, right? Yeah, I know my dad can be a bit tricky, but as his daughter, this is what I can do for them. That's why I'm going and doing it. Now,
Yeah.
how is the other person going to receive it, right? You've not really given that person another chance to put any more pressure on you.
Yeah. How would you navigate that conversation? Aside from acknowledging, because I know that from the acknowledgement, it is the words of, yeah, I see you, I hear you. But in this situation, there's a lot of required action steps that is being put at the table, because the husband wants a time with the wife, and then the parents don't trust anybody else to take care other than her. So she's stuck in the middle. So how would you navigate those conversation with everyone involved?
Oh yeah, it can get tricky because there's going to be so many triggers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So in the moment you will be triggered so much, but do have compassion for yourself, even if you do get triggered in the moment, and say, even if you did say something to your partner or to your parents that later you felt that I shouldn't have said that, have compassion for yourself, right?
Beautiful.
And acknowledge your own self, acknowledge, and then go and let them know that I am sorry I said this, but this is what I need. I have now. So you need to acknowledge yourself first. Make sense of what's going on. Why did you get triggered?
Yeah.
Then you can tell the other person, I hear you. I see you. I'm sorry I got mad at you when you said that, but
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to listen.
Yeah. I love that. One of the things that I find when to navigate conflict as well, to add to what you already said, is that oftentimes when we go into a conversation, we already have a fixed thoughts or outcome that we want the other person to say, so that it kind of confirm what we want to say, what we want. And then if the person says the opposite of what we were expecting, that's where the resentments and the conflict starts to get worse, right? So I think going into conversation and open communication around this is that, again, I'm going to highlight the vulnerability part and the boundary part, where you can honor your needs and your limitations, and that to also acknowledge that people have their own perspective about any kinds of situations in life, and that they have their own beliefs, and to acknowledge that that is real, that is the truth for this person. And what I often say is, I know you wanted me to say this. I heard you say you wanted me to be more XYZ, do ABC. And I gave you WXY, right? And I know it's the opposite of what you want. How about, well, let's sit down in the afternoon or in the evening and look at the reality of the situation, and maybe you and I can collaborate and come up with a solution, right? So you're opening a conversation and opening a floor for the other person as well to voice their concern. And I think that is where any kind of conflict kind of get diffused, because then you know that you heard the person. It's not what you expected, I understand. How about let's sit down, and then you and I can collaborate so that you and I can be in the decision making, rather than just you or just me, right? Because that's ultimately what's important. So gosh, we can,
Right. We can go on and on.
yes, yes. And I encourage you also, if this is something that a part of your family who are more in the scientific proof of caregiver burnout, I do encourage you to do some research on caregiver burnout. There are many studies that have delved into causes and symptoms and impacts of caregiver burnout. The demanding nature of caregiving responsibilities, it's out there. There's journals actually that I would highly recommend. The Gerontologist or the Journal of Applied Gerontology, they frequently publish articles on this topic. So also websites like PubMed or Google Scholar are great places to search for scientific papers on caregiver burnout, because sometimes people are in denial that you can do everything and you can do everything. It's not true. So there is such thing as a burnout, and you do not want to get to that space, because you are no use to yourself or for others if you are sick, and if you're experiencing a high level of stress and emotional exhaustion. It's not physically and mentally and spiritually healthy to go on living like that, because prolonged caregiving can lead to increased risk of depression, anxiety, other mental health issues. And when you are caregiving constantly to all of and feeling all these roles in your life, you will start to feel overwhelmed and isolated and lacking social support. So the impact of that extend beyond caregiving. It affects every part of your life. It affects your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your work, your relationship with your kids. So have an effective support system and intervention. It's really crucial in addressing these issues. So I hope you get something out of this, and I hope we wish you everything. And if you need any support and help, please don't hesitate to contact Natasha and I, and we will be here for you.
Yeah. And I do want to mention, should you find yourself in need of any professional mental health assistance, we strongly encourage seeking therapy or counseling support. If our insights resonate with you, and as Diana said, and if you are interested in individual or group coaching sessions to help you navigate and build that support system, feel free to contact us. And you can do that via Instagram, or you can also join our Facebook community called Love in Relationships, and we will put the link in the description below. For now, thank you for your question. Keep sending us more questions. And yeah, we cannot wait to answer those questions.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching. Bye.